Then came this very interesting era in motorsport. It was very short-lived, and that's the board track oval era, from about 1910 to about 1931, and another one of these distinctively American traditions. So what was going on here was, once again, it was all about speed. It was all about, a race being even more exciting because cars are going even faster. And so how could we get these oval tracks to produce even faster race cars? Let's bank them. Let's put a very, very steep, smooth bank surface. Let's put it up and then have the cars go around. So that was largely inspired by the very highly banked wood surfaces used in bicycle velodromes. And so bicycle races, for instance, we have the velodrome in Indianapolis. These were originally wooden. So think like a basketball floor, hardwood basketball floor, but for an entire racing circuit, but also extremely steep bank. So cars could go much faster than they ever could beforehand. So we had record-breaking speeds. Further, that then led to further advancements in engine and tire designs. As cars are going even faster, cars are sustaining RPMs at a higher level than ever before. Tires were undergoing pressures they'd never have gone beforehand. So this led to a lot of innovations which helped to even spur even further increases in speeds using these various facilities. A lot of these early board ovals were located in urban areas where you saw large population clusters, but also in areas where, guess what, they have trees, because obviously wood was a key component to the board ovals. And so these board ovals would also typically be built close to railroads so that then that lumber could be trucked in, and so you can, actually fairly quickly build one of these board ovals. However, these venues led to a very, very quick demise. Problems. Very simple problem is these wood boards, particularly in the Midwest and the northern climates, hell, anywhere, would warp very easily. So you get a little bit of rain, a little bit of sun, and all of a sudden this very smooth surface is going to be quite bumpy, as now the wood is warped. And so it became quite expensive to constantly replace the wood. Further, these venues, as they call it, created a whole lot of new records and new speeds, were also extremely dangerous. And so these were referred to as murder-dromes because so many people died from the high speeds. But just imagine what would happen if you went flying off the top of this banking in this image here. Here we see motorcycles racing on the Beverly Hills Board Oval. This Beverly Hills Board Oval was actually originally built to attract people to move out to Los Angeles and Beverly Hills from the Midwest or the East Coast. It's seen as maybe creating an attraction, creating something that people would want to see. And of course, these races became quite popular. As more and more people moved out to this area, though, it led to this particular venue's demise as real estate became too valuable. But once again, we can see how these venues popped up in urban areas throughout the United States. One of my less interesting hobbies is like to go through Google Earth and Google Maps to try to find old racing venues. In this case, we can see very, very faintly the remnants of a board oval called the Atlantic City Speedway that was around the 1920s and was torn down sometime there in the early 1930s. Why I talk about this particular board oval is the fact that in 1927, it was producing such fast speeds that they were 20 miles per hour faster during that same year than the speeds that you would find at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a purpose-built paved venue that was seen at the time to be one of a kind, the location of the fastest race cars in the world. So you can see why these board ovals were popular, because they produced extremely fast speeds that were exciting, but you can also see how they're deadly. These speeds were, at the time, the safety wasn't up to the level that these cars were moving, especially without many barriers to keep these cars from flying over the sides. This map here just takes the previous map that we looked at national championship venues on the AAA schedule during these set amount of years, but then moves it to more current, so 1915 to 1931. What we notice here is we can see less and less of those road course races on public streets and more of these purpose-built board oval or paved oval venues popping up. Further, where do we see the board ovals? We don't see them in the middle of nowhere. We don't see them where we don't find trees. We find them in urban areas that are also close to forested areas. Makes a whole lot of sense.